Hey, what's up, fellow anglers? Aaron Lesieur here, and I wanted to take the time to revamp one of my previous videos on winter preparedness. Now, this is the time of the year when you can get out and catch some really big fish, but it's really cold, and if you're not prepared out there, it's going to make for a long day, and you can get the onset of hypothermia. Now, if you don't know a whole lot about hypothermia, check out my website in the Bass articles section. And I've got an article there that gives you the symptoms, causes, and the remedies for hypothermia. Now let's talk about ways to avoid that. So let's talk about the items you'll need to stay warm out on the boat. Actually, these are the items that I carry, and you may be able to incorporate some of this into your own gear out there on the water. So let's start from the outside in. Don't skimp on your rain suit. Now get what you can afford, and one with a lot of features that will help you keep dry. This just happens to be the Simms Pro Dry, and one of the best rain suits that I've ever owned. I've owned a bunch of different ones, and this invariably happens to be the best one. There was a time on the FLW many years ago, I was up in Shasta, and it was snowing and raining, and I'm on the run across the lake. I didn't realize that I had one of my zippers undone on the rain suit, and I got all wet from my hips and my legs, and it didn't have a cinch system on the cuffs, and all the water had wicked into my arms, so I was wet basically underneath everything, and I actually had the onset of hypothermia and wasn't even aware of it. So being dry throughout the day and keeping that from happening to you is pretty important. So underneath the rain suit, well, actually, let's talk about real quick just some of the quick features of the Pro Dry. You're gonna want, whatever suit you're gonna want, you gotta have some sort of system that'll keep it's cinched down on your wrists so the water doesn't wick down into your sleeves. You know, you're gonna have your hands up and water's gonna wanna get down in there, so you gotta have some way to manage that water and keep it from going underneath the rain suit. And this one's got a hood on it, and different ways just to cinch things down and keep it tight. The hood stays back underneath here on a flap when I don't need it. I got the bibs. They've got multiple pockets, zippers on the sides if they want to come, if I need to take it off. And so on the layers underneath, I've got a sweatshirt, I got a thermal, I've got thermal underneath the pants, a pair of fishing pants underneath here, and then boots. The boots are pretty important too. This just happens to be a set of Columbia boots. They're ankle high. I think they're 200 fill for the insulation on them, and they're completely waterproof. Wool socks. Keeping your feet dry is pretty important throughout the day too. So I also have 3 or 4 beanies on the boat, just regular wool beanies, and then these balaclava style ones that will cover up your face and go over your nose if it gets really cold. Just trying to keep as much heat in as possible is pretty important out there. Gloves, as far as gloves, I've got about 3 different versions that I use throughout the day when I'm fishing. Full finger gloves if I'm driving across a lake, so I have all the articulation in my fingers. These are waterproof by Simms. And then if it's not raining, then I'll use the Simms mittens that fold back and allow me to access a rod or reel, and I can still fish and feel what's going on the bottom and the bites. These will get wet throughout the day though when you're constantly casting and using a bait caster. The water on the spool will get on these gloves, and so I'll change those out a couple times a day depending on how many pairs I've brought. The other thing I do is I keep an entire bag stowed away in my boat of extra clothes. Now this is if somehow my rain suit fails, if I fail to zip something up, or if I fall in, which I've never done, thankfully, but if you do, if you have an extra set of clothes, that's going to save your bacon throughout the day. So I keep, in this bag, I keep another rain suit, and again it's by Simms. I keep a set of extra pants. Everything that I'm wearing, I basically have an extra of pants, shoes, underwear, socks. And you can see I've got another set of waterproof boots in here. I even keep an extra, I got a trash bag to put all my wet clothes in if stuff gets wet, and I got a towel in here too to dry off in case I do go over. I got a towel in here that I can dry off. As a matter of fact, I was fishing with my boy at Don Pedro one year, and he lost a rod over the side of the boat and jumped in after it. It wasn't really winter, it was early spring, but the water was about 60 degrees. And so luckily I had this extra towel and some extra clothes for him to put on, and he dried off and was able to wear some dry clothes after that event had happened. The other thing if you want to try to stay a little bit warm, I keep a whole bunch of extra hand warmers in the boat. Now these, once they get wet, they're pretty much toast. So if they do get wet, you'll want to have some extras in the boat to put those back in your gloves or in your pockets. I even have some that go on my toes, the toe warmer style. Those just go right over the toes and put them right in your shoes. Just make sure you don't put those directly on your skin, because they will burn and you probably won't even be aware of it until later. I've had burns on both of my hips before because I didn't have enough clothing in between the hand warmer and my skin. So that's about it. It's what I carry in the boat during the winter, just so I can stay warm and enjoy the fishing out here. Try to catch some big fish and stay focused on what I'm doing. Any other questions, go ahead, hit me up on Facebook. Check out my Instagram page, Aaron Lesieur. Stay focused, fish hard, and I'll see you out on the water.